Why do you think that so many women believe that struggling means that they're failing? Like,
I
have you
think
noticed that?
100%. I think we have a mindset that if we mess up or if we quote unquote fail at something, that we automatically, that's the end, that is the only chance that we're going to get, that is the final result. And I think so often do we just get stuck in that mindset, oh, if I can't do it perfectly, then I'm just not going to do it at all. And so when we hit a hard season, if we're not showing up in the way we expect, we're just like, okay, then I'm just not going to show up at all, which is, when you say it out loud and you say it so direct like that, it seems crazy, but that is our normal response when things get hard. And so when the struggle feels like it's too much, our first response is to shy away instead of dig in. And like, that is the number one thing that I think we need to realize, is that we can do hard things. And when things get harder, when we're struggling, it doesn't mean that it's the end. It means that you gotta learn, you gotta keep going and not just throw in the towel and say, I'm done trying.
Yeah, I love that. And if you think about just growth in general, no matter what area of your life it is, like growth typically doesn't happen when life is smooth sailing or when things are easy. It's through the refiner's fire.
100%. I was
You
going to
know,
say, when does your most growth come? Is it when it's smooth sailing? Is it when you are just checking off boxes and going with the flow? Or is it when you are tested, when you're challenged, when you're like forced to lean in instead of shy away, when you're facing those, whether they be a struggle or an obstacle, whatever it may be, when you actually start asking, okay, how can I do it differently? Not how can I keep just struggling, but how can I maybe get stronger? And so,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and then too, like, I don't know why, but like God came to my mind. And it's like, when do you grow the most? Or when are you drawn to God the most?
Right.
It's typically not when life is easy. It's when you're struggling and you're just being drawn to Him. And it's like, I just need you. And you make so much progress and you learn so much. And so it would make sense that even in diet, that's when you should really hone everything in. And that's where the growth is going to happen.
100%. But we live in a society that wants convenience, that wants drive through, that wants to not be told that they're doing something wrong, but instead just say, oh, keep doing what you're doing and you'll get a new result. And that's not the reality. But we live in a society that wants progress or goals to seem like it's easy to achieve them. And then when we're actually on that road and we realize that it's not, we're like, oh, this is actually going to be hard. And we're like, nope, I don't want it. And because we live in a society that is drive through, like you can have whatever you want delivered right to your door, right? And so we're going to be just accustomed to that and just like almost just, I don't know what the right word is, just brainwashed to think that everything in life should just be easy or we shouldn't do it. When in reality, like we're called to grow, to challenge ourselves, to become stronger, but you only do that through stretching, through breaking yourself down, not just going through the easy days. Like an easy life is going to create a very soft person when they face challenges. And so when you face challenges, you can either roll over and let them pummel you, or you can get stronger when you face them like time and time again. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to fall down. It just means that you got to keep standing back up when you do fall and figure out how to stand back up when you do fall down hard. So yeah, it's the diet culture and just our culture in general just wants to paint this, that life should be easy, and that in order to get whatever you want, that it should be a smooth sailing road, when you got to work for, like, I was raised that you work for what you get. You're not given it. And so I think we live in a society that's not the norm anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I look at my journey and it has been the longest 2 years and hardest 2 years of my life. Like I've never done anything this hard.
Right.
And would it have been nice for it to be so easy and so simple and like that? I lost the weight. Yeah, it'd be great. That's not reality. But I look back and had it not been so hard, I would not be who I am today. And it's through the difficulty and the challenges and the frustrations that has given me this grit that I'm able to continue and maintain what I have lost and lose more. It's like you look at people who they lost the weight and it seemed so easy, right? Whether Like, I don't want to call out like anybody doing anything like, GLP-1s or anything like that. But it makes it easy almost.
Yeah.
Still hard. You still
100%.
gotta put the work in.
It makes the day-to-days easier, but it doesn't make the lessons you have to learn easier, right?
Yes.
And that's where the disconnect is. It makes the choices in the day-to-days a little bit easier because you're no longer faced with some of those cravings. But is the habit, is the trigger still there? Are you addressing the underlying? Are you facing the hard, not just masking it with something?
Yeah. And I think, the people who use like GLP-1s or weight loss surgeries, the people who go into it and they're changing their mindsets, they're changing their habits, they're the successful ones.
Right. 100%.
They're the ones who keep the weight off forever.
Right.
But again, it's the hard work.
100%. It's
But if you
those that keep standing up. So what does it really look like in the midst of a journey to have success, to stand back up, even when you're stressed, even when it gets hard, those struggles, what does that look like to keep standing back up?
Yeah. I think some days it's just simply like, I've done what I can.
Yeah.
I got my water in. I got my steps in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you hit your protein, because there are definitely days in life where it's like, if that is all you were absolutely able to do, that's great.
Right.
You did that.
100%.
There's days you can do more.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do that. But it's about doing what you can instead of saying, I don't feel good, or I'm tired, or I'm busy, so I'll do it tomorrow.
100%. Whatever excuse is in there can't be first. It's, yeah, I'm tired, but I'm still going to do this. Yeah, I'm stressed, but I'm still going to do this. It's changing just that small tweak. And that's what it really looks like to keep going. Because, like you said, it's not the easy weeks, it's the hard weeks that got you to where you're at, and they're going to keep you going. And so you have to be realistic. What does it actually look like to make it through those hard times? What are those actionable things that you're doing to pour in when you're stressed, when you want to say, I'll just start again Monday, when you want to say, oh, January's next month, I'll just pay attention then? What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? And I think so often do we want to choose the easy, and we have to choose our hard in the moment and realize that the easy in the moment leads to the hard later. It leads to the easy life that is just hard when any type of struggle comes up. And so, I don't know, there's just so many, the approach has to change of, if it gets hard, am I going to throw in the towel, or am I going to learn how to become stronger? And so you have to choose to become stronger. And that doesn't just mean when you have energy, when you're motivated. It means when you're down and out and saying, no, I can still do this. It's believing in yourself. And if you can't remember that, then it's bringing somebody in. It's choosing to say, no, I need accountability. I need someone in this with me. That's on you to make that choice. And so often do we just kind of want to say, oh, I'm just not going to even try. Invest in whatever's going to help you push through.
Yeah. Well, and I think like I talk about this all the time, like having awareness, just because it's so important. Like if you're not even aware that there's a problem, how can you change?
100%.
How can you do anything different? So it's like being aware. As like we were talking before we started recording, it was like, I was telling you, like, I have a headache, and it's like, it's been weeks that I've had a headache every day. And it's like, I have one sitting here right now. And it wasn't until today, I'm like, my water intake has been trash. Yeah.
Just gonna take a moment and drink my water, because it's my number one struggle as well. And it's not that I'm not struggling, it's that I'm actively working on it whenever I'm aware of it, right? It's not saying that, oh, because I struggle with water, I'm just not going to drink water. That's crazy. Like when you put it into those terms, that's crazy thinking, but it's so often how we approach everything.
So, yeah. And it's like when it was easy to get my water in, I drank plenty.
Right.
But then, I got on the easy slope, and I started down that slide. And it wasn't until just today that I realized that, like, no, that's what's causing these headaches.
Gotcha.
So now it's like, okay, now I'm aware, and now I have no excuse.
Exactly. And now if you wake up with a headache, you can be like, I just need more water. It's on me. It's not on anybody else. It's not on Yeah, it's taking accountability.
Yeah. So now it's like, I'm aware. Now I can make change.
And I love that you said it's been going on for weeks. And this is the other thing that I think so often gets overlooked. Even if it takes you a million shots, even if it makes you takes you a million tries at the same thing, who cares how many tries it takes or how many times you have to lean into the same struggle? If you're working on it and overcoming it, that's what's most important. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you the next one.
Sounds good.
What mindset shift do women need to make so hunger doesn't scare them off the process? Because I know hunger is something that as soon as we're faced with it, it's like, I got to eat, right? That is just what we think. So what type of mindset shifts when you started experiencing those hunger cues were the transformation, the change that came with that process?
Yeah, that one was really hard for me because I just always had this. I was a boredom eater. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't like, I didn't eat to, stuff my emotions, my fear, whatever. I did it because I was bored.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were so many times I'd be like, oh, I'm hungry. So let's eat.
Right.
But I wasn't hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I was bored. And so when I first started, it was like, oh, I'm hungry. And then I'm like, I'm hungry. Like, I have to eat.
Right.
And it was just kind of weird because I didn't think that it was okay to sit with the hunger. It's like, no, I should feed myself.
Right.
Right. And so I finally got to the point I thought it's okay to be hungry. If I've had my breakfast and it's between breakfast and lunch, no, I can wait another hour till lunchtime.
Right.
I'm not going to die.
Right.
I'm not going to starve.
Right.
I'll be okay. And so I think it's okay to be hungry.
It's that awareness. It's realizing
awareness.
Right? 100%. Yeah. Like you said all of that without saying awareness, but it was simply awareness. You're like, yeah, I'm hungry, but it doesn't mean I have to take action, right? You have to take a different action. You redirect your focus to be like, yeah, I can make it to lunch. That's part of it, is realizing that a hunger cue is not a bad thing. It's not your body saying, I'm going to starve to death. It's saying, hey, I need a little bit more fuel. Like, that's what it's trying to tell you. Like, that's what evolution did over millions of years. It's telling us, like, hey, you need a little bit more fuel. It's not telling you you're in dire situations. Like, that was what hunger is supposed to signify, is that we need to provide what our body needs, but we've taken it to the extreme that anytime we even have an inkling of hunger, that it's a bad thing. And I remember just like this approach, like this season of in my journey and through just like getting into a solid deficit consistently, it was this, I don't even know how to pinpoint it. It was this change of like almost challenging myself to be like, no, I should be hungry at my next meal. So it almost became like not a game. I'm like this competitive person in my head. And so like it became almost like a game to be like, no, if you wake up and you're a little bit hungry, that's a good thing. That means that yesterday you were solid in your deficit. It doesn't mean that you're starving. You're gonna have a meal, but it just became these cues that like signified that I was on track. It was no longer this like freak out alarm cue. It was like, no, like you're following. And so just paying attention to those hunger cues and not using them as the freak out moment, because I was like you, I wasn't, it was a boredom thing. It was a habit thing. It was a habitual thing of, I got off work, I had an order that I ordered from Taco Bell, and I would just eat and without even thinking. And so it was breaking that. It's being aware of those habits and then breaking those cycles and being aware of those hunger cues, but not being afraid of them. Like you said, it's your body is not going to starve to death in that moment. You can wait another hour for your next meal, and the more and more you just start to be just kind of accept those cues as part of the process instead of these things that you have to respond to immediately. And that just helps you make intentional choices, right? That's the awareness taking over of saying, yeah, I'm hungry, but my lunch is in an hour. I know that that's all I got to get to. It's finding those ways to just overcome those cues and use them instead of abuse them, I guess.
Well, and if you think about it too, when I first started my journey, it took a long time before I started tracking food. I just changed how I was eating. I don't know how many calories I actually was getting in a day.
Right.
But I would imagine a lot.
Right.
It's 277 pounds.
Right.
And you don't need that many calories. But if you're used to having, say, 4,000 calories,
Your body's
if
just
that's what you're used to, and now you're cutting it back, you're going to be hungry.
right.
And that's okay.
It is. Your body is not needing to be in a surplus. We are not living in the end times where we have to eat as much as we can to survive the next week because we don't know when our next meal is. But that's what our bodies are designed to do, is to hold on to food because it's part of living, right? And so your body has these cues, but we take them to the extreme, and we have to realize that hunger it's okay. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nothing to be scared of.
No.
So through the journey, as trying to figure out how to like blend the next question.
No, you're good. We can just dive right into it because this one needs addressed.
Yes.
Because this is something people need to know about weight loss that is not talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so many people, myself included, it's like you jump on the scale and you see that number. And I remember the first time I jumped on the scale, I looked it down and I had already lost weight. And I finally got the courage to jump on the scale to see the damage, right? How much did I weigh? And I looked at that number and I'm like, I almost correlated the number on the scale to what I was worth as a person.
Right.
Which sounds crazy now because I've done the work, but so many women and men are in that position.
Right.
Their worth is tied into that number on the scale.
Right.
And so, like, how do you separate that?
It's one of the hardest lessons I learned in my own journey because, like everyone else, I fixated on a number. I had a number in my head that I put as just the end goal. As my number one, this number was going to make me happy. And I think that was my approach to starting my weight loss journey. Is I had a number that I wanted to reach, and I was going to do anything to reach that number. And what finally separated that thought of that number was going to equal success was when I actually reached that number. And this is why I talk about this a lot with clients that get fixated on a number, because I can tell you, I've reached that number. I've done the work and I've done anything and everything to make that number happen, to see that number. But the number one thing I had to realize when I saw that number is that the life I had to live in order to keep it was not what I wanted to live. And so it was in that moment of seeing that number on the scale, knowing that I had put in the work to see it, and it not being anything that I had ever imagined, because it was just a number. Because that number just reflects your weight. It doesn't reflect your value. It doesn't reflect the effort you put in on a day-to-day basis to build yourself up. It only reflects a number. And what continued to break free of that self-worth in that number was seeing that number is not the end result. That number didn't just stay there, but also for years, I have seen the same, 10-pound range. So that number, the 140s, for years now. And so for me to look at the same number for now probably 6 years, like a 10-pound range, that number doesn't hold any value to the effort, the consistency, the work that I've put in. And so it's just this continuation of like reminding myself that number had nothing to do with my value ever. When I started, when I reached that number, and even today, and I had to realize that me reaching that number wasn't because of that number. It was because I loved myself enough to reach that number, because I poured into myself and I took care of myself enough to see that number. But what I had to do to stay at that number wasn't worth the life that I thought was going to come with seeing that number. And so that was the hardest lesson, but it took me literally seeing that number and it not being what I expected for me to actually say, you know what? This isn't what I thought it was going to be. This isn't making me happy, because the life, the day-to-day actions, that's the reality. That number is just a data point. It is a fleeting number. And so if you're so fixated just on that number, you're going to get disappointed. You're going to believe that your worth is going to go up and down, and that number is going to go up and down for the rest of our lives. And so you can tie your worth to that number and say that, if it goes up on one day, you're good, but then if it goes down the next day, that you're bad. Like what is that value? What is that going to do? What is that going to bring you? Know that number correlates with your actions and the life you're building. So if you're not happy in the actions that you're taking in your day-to-day life, lean there. Don't lean into the scale, lean into what you're doing, because that's going to create and show you your value. It's going to show you your effort, the consistency, and not the number that you see on the scale.
I love that so much.
That's a lot. Sorry.
No, it's great. Like, that is such an important message for women to get out there or to hear, because you put so much emphasis on that number that you think, once I hit that number, I'm going to be happy. Right. When I first started, I'm like, I want to be 200 pounds or 199, whatever I said. I'm going to be happy once I hit there. Well, I've, 23 pounds past that now.
Right.
Am I happier now than at 200? No. Am I worth more now than at 200? No.
You are loved I don't, the same. You were, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could break that.
I am a different person.
Right.
Because I've grown and my mindset has changed. Mm-hmm. But that has nothing to do with that number.
No.
And yes, I'm still on my journey. I'm not at my goal weight, and I do it in air quotes because I don't know what that number is going to be.
100%.
And I never thought I would say that, because I'm like 200, and then it was 175, right. 150. But I've come to realize that it is just a number. 100%. Who says, like, for me, I've been overweight my whole life. Who says I'm going to hit 150 and I'm going to like how my body looks? Not like in a bad way, but I'm 5'2.5". Is my body, is 150 pounds going to be the right weight on my body?
For what yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never heard him like getting it out there, but it's like, no, maybe I need to be 140 or 130. Right. I don't know.
Because you're envisioning Jamie, mm-hmm. and what does Jamie look like, and then trying to correlate it to a number. And so we pick the number first, but it's the life, it's the Jamie that you're creating. That's the value, that's where your value is. It's not in the number. That number is going to change. Like you were talking about, your goal for that number has changed even through your journey. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. So I'm flexible with it. It's like, could I lose 17 more pounds and get to 160 and be like, no, my body looks good. I'm happy here. 100%. Maybe. 100%. Maybe it's 130. Maybe it's I have no idea. And I think it's important for women to be willing to be flexible, because if you have always been overweight, you don't even know what you'll look like. Nope. Yeah. I was going to say, I can't even remember the last time I was in this range, like even growing up. And so I had no idea this number that I had fixated in my head. It was because it was less than half of what I weighed to start with. That was the only reason I picked it. Like there was no, like I wanted to see 135 pounds lost because I was 270 pounds. That was the only thing. It wasn't because that had some huge significance. It wasn't. And then when I saw it, that it all came crashing down to say, like, yeah, I see that number. And guess what? It's not what it's cracked up to be. It's not what you had envisioned. It's not Brittany that you had built, because guess what? She's kind of miserable in order to stay here. And so just figuring out, and this is the other thing is, like I touched on it a little bit ago, but I'm now 6 years of a similar pound range, and I don't hop on the scale more than, like, I'm going to be honest, a few times a year at this point, because that number does not matter. But I started like most every single day I was on that scale. I have a picture of my bathroom mirror of when the first few months of my journey, of literally the date, and it's every couple days with my weight. Like when I say I fixated on that number and I tied my self-worth, I mean it. But it has nothing to do with your worth. And it was one of the hardest lessons, and just realizing that the life you are building, not the number you are like trying to see, is going to bring just that value that we all want. That, what's that right word? Just that worth that we are searching for. It's not going to come from the number you see on the scale. Yeah. Well, and then look at the life that you are living in order to, if it is an extreme number, right? What does your life even look like? Are you going to the extremes for it? Are you miserable? Right.
Is that worth it?
Right.
So I don't know. So what are better ways to use this scale as data instead of using it as judgment?
Yeah, it's those words exactly, but being able to shift that in your mind of being like, if this is what I will always encourage clients, that let the scale dictate their mood or let it affect their mood, is take a break from it. Start to focus on your day-to-day actions and how you're feeling, how clothes are fitting, how your workouts are going, how your energy levels are, how your sleep is. And the more and more you can lean into how you feel instead of associating everything that you're doing with that number every morning, that's going to be the number one thing. And so start to use the scale as a data point. Check, like, do it consistently once a month, once a week, whatever that might be. And know that before you step on there, like, remind yourself that this is one data point. Tomorrow it's going to change. Later, after you eat a meal, go to the bathroom or drink a glass of water, it's going to change. So always reminding yourself that that scale number, even when you reach your end goal, is going to continue to change. So take it for what it is, a data point. Let it then show, like, reflect your actions, because that's truly what it is. It's reflecting your actions. It's reflecting your consistency. So focus on the actions you're taking, the life you're building, and then let the scale simply be a tool to keep you going on that path of taking steps towards that goal you have on the scale, but it comes from the life you're living.
Yeah. And like for me, I'm at this odd place because for the last 2 years, I've weighed once a week. And I'm at this place now where it's like, I don't feel like I need to weigh myself every week. No. I've never done daily, but it's been every week. And it's like, maybe I'll switch to like every other week. Right. Because I am judging my progress now on how am I feeling? How do my clothes fit? Right. Like, what do I look like? Right. Like, I can see photos from 2, 3 months ago and compare it to me today. And it's like, wow. And shouldn't that mean more and carry more weight than a number?
100%. Because you're living the day-to-day seasons and you're still seeing progress. It's no longer like going to only put in the effort if the scale is trending downwards. You've come to realize, like, that scale is going to follow your actions, and your actions are just your norm now. Like, this is your day to day. It's no longer this intentional, I have to get my workouts in, I have to get my steps in, I have to pay attention to my meals. Like, that has become just who Jamie is. And because of that, the life that you've built is now just continuing to take you towards that goal that you have on the scale. But you're able to just know that I don't have to hop on the scale to know that I'm headed that direction, because you feel good. You're like, you're paying attention. It's awareness. It's always coming back to awareness. It really is.
Yeah. Well, and like through this process, you were just talking about like habits. Basically, we're talking about habits and like, your space in the word.
Routines, day to days.
Starts with a D.
Day habits. Not go daily.
All those things. But, it's like I've gotten to the point like discipline. There you go.
One of those main words we use all the time in our profession. Oh my gosh, my chair almost just went backwards.
That's funny. But yeah, it's more now about the disciplines and the habits versus thinking that I got to rely on motivation. Right. Because like I hate that word. I hate the word motivation. Like, it drives me up the wall. Because motivation, it comes and goes. I compare motivation to that nasty friend you don't want. She shows up when she wants, she leaves when she wants, she's not reliable. And yeah, so it's like not relying on motivation anymore, and like really honing in on those disciplines and the habits that carry you through.
Right.
Because man, the other day, I did not want to get out of bed and go to the gym. My bed was so warm and so comfy, and it was cold out. And I'm like, I just want to stay in bed. And then it was like, boom, no, get your butt out of bed and go.
Right.
And I did.
Right. And you probably were feeling so much better because you did it. And old Jamie would have stayed in bed, and probably by the end of the day, guilt, shame, I'll continue my habitual eating and just continue the cycle, right? But by choosing to say, no, this is hard, I don't want to, but I know it's going to make me feel my best, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
truly, it's no longer motivation. It's because you want to feel better. You're drinking your water because you don't want headaches anymore. It's not because you
Mhm.
have to. It's like, no, I want to feel better. It's not because I
Right.
have to drink water. It's like, no, I feel my best when I drink my water. So drink my water. Like it's
Yeah.
just those types of just that's your norm. It's no longer complaining
Mhm.
about what you have to do. It's just getting it done.
Yeah. And even if I show up at the gym and it's the worst workout ever,
Right.
it
It
happened.
happened.
I went, I showed up. I kept,
Exactly.
the promise I made myself, I'm going to go to the gym, and I did it and I stuck to my word. And it doesn't matter that it was a terrible workout because I showed up and I did something.
100%. And how many times of those days where you didn't want to get up, but you showed up anyways, were some of the best lifts where you actually did
Mhm.
push yourself, where you actually surprised yourself in the gym with
Yeah.
being like, that was me the other day. Like I had that moment of like, literally, Kyle made his pre-workout, didn't make mine, was about to say, hey, I'll wake you up when I get home kind of thing. And I was like, no, give me 5 minutes. And I went and I literally, after we got done, I go, that was probably the best leg day that I've had in months. And it
Mhm.
literally was because I chose to get out of bed. It was not easy. Believe me, everything in me wanted
Yeah.
to go back to bed. I knew it was leg day. So the mental battle was even like more apparent, but I made it happen. And it was the best leg. I was paying for it for like 5 days after I couldn't walk, but
Yeah.
it was, I went and I surprised myself. And so just choosing to push
Mhm.
through in those it's not motivation, it's discipline. 100%.
Exactly. Yeah, I've had those too where it's like I didn't want to go, into the gym, and I was just really struggling with kids stuff, and it was like I went to the gym, and I'm like in the mindset I showed up, that's all that matters. It's going to be a terrible lift today. And then as I get going, I'm like, no, I'm going to take my frustration out on these
There it is.
weights.
There it is.
And I PR'd on so many things, and I'm
Yep.
like, it's going to sound funny, but I was like, I just want to feel the pain of these weights.
Right? Weird. You sound like Kyle right now.
And I'm like, what the heck? I just lifted like 40 more pounds. Maybe I needed this to know that I can lift more than what I've been doing.
100%. That's the other
So,
thing. I love that you pointed that out because it is always going to be up here that gives in 1st.
mhm.
Physically, we can go so much farther as humans. Like, there's a reason why SEALs, like people that are extreme, they can do it. It's not because they're like they are made different, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it's the mental side that keeps them going. It's not because
Mhm.
they physically are pushing them. It's all mental. And that's what
Yeah.
the number one thing when it comes to any weight loss fitness journey, it comes down to the mental. Are you going to show up? Are you going to continue to push yourself when it gets hard? And that's why so many people give in, because it gets hard. And they think, oh, hard means that I shouldn't do it. It's like, no, hard means you're going to grow. Hard means you're going
Yeah.
to step out of your comfort zone because there is no growth in comfort zones. And so, yeah, discipline always. Motivation
Right.
has no place in this because also, anyone like moms, are you motivated to take care of your kids every day? Are you motivated to feed them every day? Are you motivated to push them to do things that are best for them? Remind yourself of that fact when you're not motivated to take care of your kids. Now put that lens on when you're taking care of yourself because it's not about motivation. I have not been motivated to take care of myself every single day for years, but I keep doing it. And that's the number
Yeah.
one thing that I think we have to accept, that it's not going to be motivation. Stop using that word. Stop using it as an excuse because it's the best. It's the friend that literally is the worst. Rely on discipline and show up for yourself because this is self-care. And so often do we
Yeah.
want to put self-care on the back burner. Self-care allows you to pour out to others. It allows you to be a better mom. It allows you to be a better wife, a better whatever hat you wear. And so if you're constantly putting yourself on the back burner, saying you're not worth it, that you're not worth the effort, what are you pouring out to others people? I know for me, I was running on empty for years and I thought I was being selfless. I thought I was giving and giving and giving. But what I was doing was simply going through the motions of life. I wasn't actually living to my full potential. I wasn't actually able to help in a way that was what I was called to do because I was so hidden in my own shame. I was tired, exhausted all the time. And it wasn't until I started taking care of me that I could then be a better Brittany. I could be a better wife. I could be a better, like at my job, whatever hats you wear. This isn't just about when you feel like it. It's about taking care of you when it gets hard so that you can keep living life when it gets hard.
Yeah. You can't keep your old life to get new results. You have to change.
100%.
Like my actions, my behaviors, my choices, everything has completely changed from who I used to be to who I am today. And, sometimes my husband will laugh at me because like I'll refer to myself as 277-pound Jamie. You're like, well, she would do that too. I was like, do you do that?
Oh, 100%. We have a nickname. Kyle calls me Big B, and it's a Santa Claus joke. So the scene that he's like, it was a big B, like when he gains like 80 pounds overnight or whatever, and it's like in the office, he makes a joke, and ever since then, Kyle always now calls me Big B. But yeah, referencing your
funny.
It's Big B is past Brittany, so it makes me laugh. You pointed that out. I didn't know other people did that too.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I'll be talking to like, well, 277-pound Jamie.
Right.
Because yes, that's who I used to be, but I'm not her anymore. I am completely different. And I'm like not the same person.
No,
in
but
every way.
Jamie, who you are today, was always in old Jamie. We just started acting like her, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you are not who you used to be, but you're not Jamie anymore. You're just the strongest, better. I don't want to say better because that's not what I mean. Just you're taking care of yourself. So you are fuller. You're living life more abundantly because you're not hiding behind shame. You're not just putting yourself on the back burner, hiding in the corner. You're actually actively working on building confidence, pouring into yourself so that you are just more in life. And yeah.
Yeah. But I wish I could remember how my husband says it. But he says that, oh my gosh, it's so funny how he says it. Basically, he's like, you were a small girl trapped in a big girl's body. And in the gist, that's like what he says. And it's so funny because it's so true. It's like, I am not her anymore.
Right.
But without her, I wouldn't be who I am today.
No. It took 277-pound Jamie acting like Jamie you are today in order to become Jamie you are today. And it was a learning process. It was truly not keeping those same old habits, those same choices, but choosing to say, you know what, this choice leads me to this. This habit leads me to this. And saying, okay, what can I do differently? Because Jamie you are today looks nothing like Jamie of the past. And so it's choosing to lean into every situation, every struggle, every moment, and be like, okay, how would Jamie act? How would future Jamie respond to this? How would she not return to her habits of, snacking and those types of things? What would she do instead? And so, and now, before you know it, you've become that Jamie, and you can be like, I'm nothing like her. But I guarantee you can't pinpoint when that all happened. When it all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is where I'm at. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't.
It's like, it just kind of like meshed together. It was like, I had no self-confidence, and now I have a lot.
Right.
Like, there's just so many different things that it's like, to pinpoint at what point in this journey this shift happened, I don't know, but it happened gradually. And that for me is way better than any number on a stupid scale. So that's been my favorite part of this whole journey.
Yeah, I love that you pointed out there wasn't like this pinpointed moment, but it was those small mindset shifts in those hard moments that led you to here. How you approached those hard moments pushed you through. It made it so you didn't just give up and let the hard continue. You challenge yourself to be like, how do I get stronger? How do I go to the gym even when I'm tired and PR? It's figuring it out. And that didn't happen on day one. That happened years down the road because you learned from every time you got knocked down how to get back up a little bit better. And that's what this journey is about. It's not about staying the same and believing that it's going to be effortless, because that's what society wants us to believe. You can continue to do everything that you're doing today and be who you are, like who you've envisioned and who you want to be in the future. That doesn't make sense. And so we have to start choosing to say, you know what? Old Brittany, old Jamie, old whoever you are is my reality. If I don't want to stay in this reality, I have to change who I show up as each and every day. And it's going to look different than who I was in the past. That Brittany of the future is going to make different choices than what I did in the past. I'm not going to go to Taco Bell at 2 a.m. because that's the only thing open. I'm going to choose to go home and heat up a meal because that's what Brittany would do. And it's choosing my heart. It's not easy, but it's what I choose to do.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, it's okay to change.
100%.
Society is like, you're okay, you're perfect just the way you are. But if you really look at yourself, I was not perfect. I was far from it. I needed to change. And if you just want to look at it, like, if you look at life in itself, you start out as a baby, you can't even hold your head up. What if you never changed from that? Right? You just naturally change.
Right.
And, as a 20-year-old, what I wanted to do and how I did things is completely different than in my 30s. And it's completely different in my 40s.
Mm-hmm.
You grow and you evolve and you change, and there's nothing wrong with that. You should be doing that. So don't be afraid of it.
Don't. Change is going to, one, bring change, which if you are on any sort of journey, that's what we're looking for, right? But it's also going to reveal where you can pivot, where when you start to try different things, when you start to change, it's also going to open up opportunities to grow. And that's the biggest thing that we need to not be afraid of. Growth is not a bad thing. Growth is what we all need, but we're so afraid to change and see growth when our perspective around our journeys need to change. Like, it's about growth. It's about becoming stronger. It's not just about becoming smaller when it comes to the scale. It's about truly pouring in and becoming stronger.
Yeah. Well, and with that, it's like, as you're changing, like, stop looking at this as I'm on a diet.
Right.
Start looking at it as like, this is the life I'm living.
Right.
I'm not going to go to Taco Bell. I'm not going to go to whatever other fast food restaurant because, you're trying to change your life. You're not on a diet anymore. You're going to cook your meal at home. You're going to go for the lean chicken instead of deep fried whatever.
Right. When I go to Taco Bell once in a while, I'm going to be intentional with what I order instead of just ordering the 20 things because that's what I've always gotten. It's choosing to be intentional around my choices of saying, you know what? Even when I go to Taco Bell, even when I go through the drive-through, I'm still going to make wise choices that align with who I want to be and where I want to get to, knowing that this is a lifestyle. It's not a diet. It's not to force something until I can't. It's literally, this is how I live my life, and choosing those choices that I'm presented with in a way that I'm going to be proud of, that I'm like building on, and not continue just in the same cycles that lead me to be unhappy, lead me to old past Brittany that was shameful and was literally like watching her life pass by as I just kind of wanted to just kind of let it be because it was too hard. Like, choose your heart, choose to lean in and become stronger. Don't just let life continue to just take you out.
Yeah, that is so good.